groundbreaking. As I was traveling last week, PM, I got a lot of questions about how we were reconstructing and other ideas from other countries. The world is looking at us, and I do believe that we have the right leader leading us into this new era and an era of opportunity. So please welcome our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you, Minister. Let me acknowledge all who took the time to be here this morning. Cabinet press briefings are becoming quite an event. I noticed that students from UTech and other universities are joining us. Welcome. It's very important that you are a part of the, I like to use the term civics of the country, the public affairs. Very important. These days, there tends to be almost a popular view that it is not cool to be in politics, which is far from the truth. Being involved in the affairs of your nation is, in my opinion, the highest calling and the coolest thing that you can do. So, congratulate you for taking the time and participating. Just to hear what we have to say. We don't always reach the audience that you can reach. And sometimes they won't accept it from me, but they will accept it from you. So it's good to have you here. Let me acknowledge my ministers who are here and my permanent secretaries who are also here, and the various heads. So you mean all of what I have said wasn't? And all the various heads of agencies who are here. First, let me say that the road to getting NARA approved was a difficult road. I see the CABSEC smiling in agreement because behind the scenes she did quite work coordinating and pulling everything together, because in the initial stages of NARA, the coordination, the organization, the administrative work that needed to be done, that was placed on the Cabinet Office for strategic reasons, because that is where that is the part of government that has reach into all of government, and therefore we utilized the resources of the Cabinet Office to get this done. So in my hands today is actually the law, physically represented. It's no longer the NARA bill, it's the NARA Act. And it has received this very beautiful seal. It's called the Royal Assent. We're going through a process to change up all of that, but until then, it is what it is. This is a Royal Assent, meaning that the Governor General has stamped the bill with the seal to say this is now law. So Parliament debated, Parliament made amendments and voted, both houses, and passed the bill in the House, but it goes through one last phase. Some people say it's a formality. Not quite that, but an important part of our legislative process. And so now, NARA is fully legal. NARA is in effect. So it has given NARA its legal identity, its powers, its duties, and outlined clearly what are its functions. But this needs to be brought to life. And to do that, we have to appoint the people who will bring the bill, the act, to life. And I'm pleased today to announce that after a very extensive process where we advertised for the post of the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, it was advertised internationally. We received 120 applications from all over the world, 85 of which were specifically for the post of the CEO. Others would have applied maybe for both CEO and for some other position or for other positions, which were not yet advertised. We shortlisted 7, so you can imagine the involved process of filtering through all the applications. So we shortlisted 7, and these 7 persons were interviewed, 3 of whom were Jamaicans and 4 were international candidates: Australia, United States, the UK, and I don't remember the other country. The panel included, the panel that conducted the review and the interview, included the chairman of the PSC, that is the Public Services Commission, Pat Sinclair McCullough. I don't know if she was able to participate in all the deliberations, but she was a part of the panel. Then we had our cabinet secretary, who participated, Maria Thompson Walters from the TIU, that is the Transformation Implementation Unit in the Ministry of Finance. We had as well the esteemed Professor Gordon Shirley from the Port Authority of Jamaica, and Mr. Stephen Edwards from NROC. So they did quite a bit of work behind the scenes to ensure that the right selection was made. I was only informed of the end result. So just in case anybody thought that I kept a distance for good reason. The final decision came down to someone who has served the country very well. And the decision was to appoint Major General Anthony Anderson, who is now currently ambassador to the United States. Obviously, that will change. He was former Commissioner of Police and former Chief of Defense Staff. And as fate would have it, I had tasked him to review the state's response to Hurricane Beryl, which would have included a review of all the entities involved in the response, but specifically a review of ODPEM. So he is already in proximity to these issues. I can't go into the reasons for the selections. Obviously, they would have compared resumes, experience. But one thing I can say, I have great confidence in Ambassador Anderson. He would obviously have great skills in leading national institutions. He led 2 of the most important institutions in Jamaica, the JDF and the JCF. In both instances, he would have designed and implemented transformational programs in both institutions. He would have had the experience of working with international entities, both the IFIs, which are going to be critical, that is international financial institutions, going to be very critical in this process, but with international contracting as well. He would understand the issues that are involved, understanding the local lay of the land, and I'm going to use the politics of the land, not the small politics, but the big politics, how to manage the stakeholders and the idiosyncrasies of Jamaican society. So he would be very well placed to address that. Importantly as well, he would have the confidence of the partners and stakeholders that would be critical for the success of NARA. So this appointment would necessitate some adjustments. We will keep you up to date as to the changes that would have to be made. I had a brief discussion with Tony last evening, and I welcomed him. The appointment will be effective the 1st of June. So we are on the road now with NARA. I had a discussion with him about, and I should say that cabinet met yesterday, it's a late evening, to discuss the appointment. And we had a discussion around what should we title the position. The title is already in the law. It's the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer. But, I was thinking we need to ensure that the office is not characterized as a bureaucratic office where it's just pushing paper, signing off on documents. This is about executing, getting things done. In the original concept of the chief executive, that was the idea, the person who got things done. The board would deal with governance. The administrators deal with administration. But the CEO get things done. And so in the law, he's the chief executive officer, but I'm going to call him the chief executing officer, the man who will get things done. And that has to be a cultural change in Jamaica. We need to start paying attention to outcome and getting things done quickly. The rest of the world, that's how the rest of the world is thinking. We are lagging behind. And I'm saying this looking straight in the eyes of our UTech students. The next generation of Jamaicans, you must be the people who get things done. Now, the cabinet also discussed the first set of projects that will form the register for NARA. We have finalized a shortlist. They will be compiled and published, I would say, in another week or so. Just in time for the appointment of the new CEO. So you now have the act, you will have the CEO in place, and the projects that are going to be part of that register of projects will be in place. Finally, we discussed the composition of the NROC, Jamrock. Stephen. Stephen is head of NROC. Sorry, the JAMROC, that is the Jamaica Reconstruction and Resilience Oversight Committee. And we will publish the terms of reference and the names of the persons who we have invited to participate. So this will happen simultaneously of the Chief Executive Officer, who I'm going to call the Chief Executing Officer. So we are all aligned now, and we are ready to go. 1st of June will be the effective start date of operations for NARA. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. A big announcement. I spoke to Ambassador this morning, and he was very, very happy. And he has noted a few things, and I should read those into the record for Cabinet today, in terms of, there's a press release that's going out, but just to hear Ambassador's voice. And he said the passage of Hurricane Melissa and the consequent financial arrangements have provided us with an opportunity to do national development at an unprecedented scale and with speed. However, despite the obvious urgency, proper planning, transparent contracting, and approval processes with structured, disciplined, time-bound execution must define this development. Multi-sectoral infrastructure programs must be synergistically integrated to maximize the impact of the spend, and crucially to provide a platform for improved delivery of services, increased productivity, and economic growth. PM, I think he's been listening to you. So we congratulate Ambassador Anthony Anderson on this appointment, and as you heard, he starts on June 1, which is Monday. So you have the law in effect, and maybe a day, and Now you hear who the CEO is, and the CEO starts on Monday. This is an administration that gets things done, and the Prime Minister has been saying it. With NARA, it's all about speed and efficiency, and we've been able to demonstrate that. So thank you, PM. Thank you, CAPSEC, too, for all the work that you've put into this. So we're going to move straight into questions. Today's a big morning. At 10 a.m., Disaster Risk Management Council meeting. The hurricane season also starts on June 1, and it is important that we prepare, and I want to acknowledge the Honorable Kenzie, who is here, our Minister of Local Government and Community Development, who will be leading on that council meeting with the Prime Minister. So we do have to get out of here, so I'm going to go very quickly into the questions. All right, so remember to say your name and your affiliation and then ask your question.
Good morning, everyone. Mahiri Stewart. This question for the is May 27, 20 has been made law. We have our CEO now. So my question is, what does May 27, 2027 look like now that the NARA has been established?
Yeah, use this one.
That's a good question. There are scarcely any project that you could execute, meaning bring to completion within a year. However, projects with the relocation of persons whose homes would have to be reconstructed. So that's time. Those issues that are close to people, close to the recovery and restoration of life and livelihood, those projects we want to get them right away, and by 20 we should be saying that is complete. That's my immediate
And were there any instances during and even the amendments made to the was brought up, or a suggestion was brought up, that you believed made what the bill became more robust than prior?
No legislation is perfect. Always a battle for the better view. And we don't shy away from robust debate about what is the better view. However, I found that much of what was proposed came from a place of mistrust, of fear, and ignorance. And the public's understanding of what we were trying to achieve. From my position, I gave the directive to my members that we must not lose sight of the objective of creating an institution that agility, speed, same time, respect the fundamental principles of fairness and competitiveness consultation. And I don't think these principles are at odds with speed. We just have to rethink how we get these things done. But it's clear to me that there are a set of Jamaicans who don't want to see speed. They believe that if it didn't take long, it wasn't well done. And we need to change that culture. But there are also a set of Jamaicans who don't want to see NARA, their political interest for NARA. They hide under all kinds of names, claim society when they are not activists by the name. And I stand here frankly and say that. To your question, were there amendments that made sense? Of course. And those that did made it. For example, there was one comment about, properly resilience. I mean, it didn't change the fundamentals of the better bill in terms of the understanding of what is the government seeking to do for resilience. And there were others, but it didn't change the fundamentals of what the bill was seeking to achieve.
And lastly, as you said earlier about a change of culture, given what NARA is set, cutting some of that red tape and getting projects done quickly, do you see its success leading to a culture of all government agencies to maybe take a page out of NARA?
It's very difficult to have culture change in a country like Jamaica because you have to, first of all, past the political barrier. I mean, even when something makes sense, even when it's logical, it gets trapped into the political quagmire. Now, in a sense, that is what makes our democracy strong, but it is also what makes us slow. And so if we're going to have culture change, we need to have a change in our things that are taken out of the political domain, and we agree. And look, Trinidad has oil and natural gas. They have a natural resource. You know, Guyana and Suriname, they have gas and they have a natural resource. Jamaica's bauxite, it's, you know, almost 50 years in, that is depleting. What is the resource that we have that is going to generate growth, that is going to fix the road, the hospital? In the minds of the people, all of these things can be fixed without paying attention to what we produce. And until we get people to understand that efficiency is a resource in the same way that oil is a resource. And it is so telling that countries that have oil, if you look at Dubai and the Emirates and Saudi Arabia and all of them, what do you think they're trying to do? Get more oil? No, what they're trying to do is get more efficient. They're trying to build infrastructure and develop systems to attract people to come and live in their country, make their society more efficient, because that is the biggest asset. And what are the things that help efficiency? Technology. That's number one. Number two, it is a culture of getting things done. And that is what we don't have in Jamaica. We argue and quibble about everything. If you look at the debates that have taken place, not one of them spoke about getting things done quickly. Not one. And until there is a pivot and a shift, and the people who are the blockers and who feel that they're only important if they obstruct, until you take them out of the equation and bring up people who say, let me get this thing done right away, and we will get it done efficiently, we will build quickly and we will build well. Until we get that change, then we will be stuck in the mode of the 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000s, where we are only getting 1%, 2%, or no growth. Growth also requires a mindset shift.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Prime Minister. Shoshana Small from the Gleaner. So there have been concerns about the bill, the oversight and the transparency mechanisms embedded in the bill. How confident are you in Anderson to carry out the mandate of this bill objectively? And you spoke extensively as well about the efficiency that this bill will bring forth in our reconstruction efforts. What are the timeframes that we're looking at, especially as you mentioned earlier, the projects that have to do with touching the people, reconstructing homes and so forth? What are the timeframes that we're looking at to start seeing the results of this bill?
I don't think you heard what I said, but you had to ask your question. So let me repeat what I said earlier. Let me put it in another way. Hopefully the Gleaner will carry it. Hopefully. Listen, Jamaica went through a period of time where it invested heavily in building out oversight and anti-corruption mechanisms. Jamaica, when compared to other countries in the region and even globally, has a very strong oversight and anti-corruption framework. Very strong. And we have recently strengthened that by empowering, standing up and resourcing the MOCA, because we don't pay enough attention to this other side of corruption and lack of oversight, things that are happening in the cyber world and organized crime. And that part of it, that's the most recent part, and they're doing very well in terms of ensuring that corruption does not impact the economy in a negative way. The Integrity Commission, they are doing their thing, and I don't speak about the Integrity Commission, so let me stop there. Then we have the PBMA, that is the Public Bodies Management Act, which is a very strong piece of legislation which governs how public bodies should conduct themselves. We have the FAA, which is the Financial Accounting and Administration Act. That one keeps not finding that one properly. The FAA, and then you have the Auditor General as well, and you have FID, and then policing all of that is the PAAC, that is the Public Appropriations and Accountability Committee, and headed by an opposition member. And then you have the PAC, right, which is also headed by an opposition member. So it's a very robust and comprehensive system of oversight and accountability. And then you're going to say to me now that when I set up a bill, I must now go and put in place another FAA. So the same provisions that are in the FAA and the PBMA that cut across all ministries and all legislation, I must go now and put those same things in this legislation. I must go and build another mechanism for the Auditor General, the FID, in other words, I must go and rebuild this again and create a very dense bureaucracy, which we expect to move quickly. It doesn't make sense. If we invested in building out this very robust framework where we spend billions of dollars every year trying to guarantee the country accountability and probity, and then we go and do that again, the people who are recommended this don't have our best interest at heart. Don't. Let the systems that are in place, let them work. While the systems that are supposed to deliver speed and efficiency, let them work. But don't come to us and say we are going to have to build this architecture each time over and over and over. That's why we're slow. And it's not just Jamaica that is suffering from this. It's a global thing. Technocracy and bureaucracy are real. They have political interests. They are self-interested and vested. They get funding to do this. That's the hidden part of this that the country doesn't see. Nobody writes an article about that. And somehow everybody is so self-righteous to be the defenders when nobody's trying to defend the people who are in need of their homes quickly, the country needing growth. These things have to be said, and I say them unapologetically. And I'm prepared to tackle all of them who are going to come out of the woodwork to deal with my statements. I'm prepared to deal with you.
One last question. It's from a student. Yes, from you too.
Sure.
Good morning, Prime Minister. My name is Simonique Brown from the UTEC JA Students Union Council. And my question is, what safeguards do you have in measure? Because we know that NARA is now a law and not an act, right? What safeguards do you have in measure to ensure that our local contractors and workers will benefit from these projects?
Again, the local procurement legislation already defines a process by which local contractors get, I would say, an advantageous preference in some instances. So there is already a provision for that. Secondly, the issue of local contracting is one that we have to carefully think about. We have to carefully think about, because we don't have the capacity in Jamaica to take on large enterprise scale contracts. And that is a challenge which is directly related to the slow pace of growth that we have had over the last 4 or 5 decades. We have contractors who are developing very well, and I can identify a number of contractors who are doing very well and who, in my opinion, are poised to become enterprise level global contractors because they are investing in their talent, they are investing in their management, they are investing in technology, and they are investing in equipment. For NARA to work, the employees of NARA are not the ones who are going to break the ground, lay the blocks, lay the pipes. Contractors are the ones who are going to do it. And if they lay pipes and they break and we have to go back and fix it again, that's going to delay the project. So we need contractors who will be able to lay the pipes the first time and they don't break. We need contractors who will be able to take on huge projects and not small projects all over the place. We need contractors who will cheat to mobilize and fund their operations without, being almost over-reliant on the payouts of the government. And we don't have that as readily as we would like. But the question that you have asked is very important because as a government, we need to engage the contractors to say, listen now, you are critical stakeholders and partners. Let us see how we can work together so that you can develop and then we get the skills. So government is very open and will lead this process of engaging with the contractors because it's in our interest to have enterprise scale contractors. We want contractors who can operate at the highest level with the greatest efficiency. But unfortunately, it is widespread as we would like. But it's not for us to blame the contractors wholly. It is for us to say, with NARA in place, we're going to now need to set up a program where we can help you reach the enterprise scale so that you can compete globally and internationally with all the other firms for the contracts that NARA will issue.
Thank you, Prime Minister. And today it is the day we're announcing that the bill is an act. And so students, when you go back and you're going to explain to everyone here with Prime Minister and you showed what it looks like and you saw the seal from the Governor General. So it's now law. And then the Prime Minister, the CEO of NARA. And we're about on a really historic time in Jamaica's history, and it's coming on a morning when next up is our Disaster Risk Management Council because we are getting ready for another hurricane season. This administration is one that believes deep in God and knows is covering this country, but at the same time we know that God asks us to act, and that's what NARA is about, us understanding what the people in the West need and what our country needs to get to that space of development that we want. And so I thank you all for listening in this morning. Please listen in to the Disaster Risk Management Council. Also, so you can see how we're preparing for the next hurricane season under the of our Prime Minister. As I say to you, may God continue to bless this wonderful country, Jamaica, land we love. Thank you all.